So let's move the broccoli over here. And
Can you hold that up one more time?
okay. And there's your broccoli soup. Let's do a little. See, it's still a little bit green. That's the other thing that's probably worth mentioning here in this lesson, and that is that now I'm saying to cook these until they're pureeable. And it does not mean that you should cook them until they're almost mush and they have no color left to them. Because as you eliminate the color of the broccoli by cooking it too much, you have to add more color to the soup at some point to make it green. So any green that you can keep going in the soup throughout the entire process is certainly worth keeping, okay? Okay, now we're going to probably do this in a couple of batches here, and I might need another pot, but I might not. I might be able to do this all in one batch here. Hold on, let's see if I can get this all in here. I can, but it might be a little bit dangerous. We'll see. How do they say? Danger is my business. You know, come on. It shouldn't be yours, though. All right. Shut these off. It's hot enough over here today. All right, let's start zapping this along here. The trick when you're using these pureeing sticks is never let it sit motionless like this because you just burn the machine out. The trick is to keep it low just above the bottom and in a circular motion. That will puree the soup the fastest. Okay. We're halfway there. Tastes nice. Now, because we're going to be pureeing some of these into this soup anyway, we don't need to puree this any more than it is right now because it's going to be getting, this will get a little bit more pureed as we're semi-pureeing these into it anyway. So it'll still get even smoother than it is. And I want you to see the texture of soup the way it is now. Now, right now, it's a little bit thick, but it's got a little bit of chunk of broccoli in it. I think we all want to feel like there is food in the cream of broccoli soup and that it's not pureed like baby food. That would not be desirable, I think, from the person who's eating it. So let's, what happened to my pot? My soup pot. So we're going to get this back in the soup pot and let's get some of these broccoli stems here while we're waiting for the pot and get them kind of ready to puree. I'm going to take a couple of really nice little florets like this here. Come on down, Richard. And thank you, sir. Let's just throw this back in the soup pot here real quick. Looks nice so far. Let's bring it up to a simmer. So we're going to use this for demoing the first one. We'll use, that's enough garnish. I'll give you a little bit more. There's enough garnish right there for one bowl of soup, see? Meanwhile, we're going to take some of these florets, get them lined up here. And we're going to reduce some of the cream, so when we add it to it, I have a pan right back here for reducing the cream. Those nice wide pan for reducing it faster than these tall cylindrical type saucepans, which have a tendency to boil over on the cream. Not to suggest that this will not boil over if I don't watch it, but it will reduce twice as fast in a wide-mouthed cooked piece of cookware, if you will. All right. Now, the process of finishing this cream broccoli soup, or any of these cream soups, as you will see as you look through the soup DVD, if you happen to go from one to the other looking around, you'll find the same process. Again, I repeat, this is important to stress and for you to accept that this process can be the same. The bisque soups, for example, are very much like that. The process is the same for all four of the primary bisque soups, just that the primary ingredient, lobster, shrimp, whatever it is, changes. So the cream soups are a little bit like that. Now, cream soups, of course, have evolved, where the bisque soup has not really evolved that much. Cream soups of all of the categories of soup making are the one soup that has changed dramatically. They used to be made with thickened white sauce, bechamel sauce, if you will, with food added to it, with very little pureeing involved, or flavor adjusting, as you're going to see in the ones that we're making. They were very standardized like that, and they weren't that good. They've advanced, and they're better than they used to be. And that's the only reason they've changed, by the way. No one's ever been able to improve on the bisques. That's why they haven't changed that much. Okay, this broccoli soup is ready to be finished. It's not necessary for you to do skimming on the broccoli soup after it's pureed, because it doesn't have a lot of stuff that it's going to throw to the surface that's insoluble for you to remove. And it's not going to affect the final texture of the soup like some other sauces or soups might that have more stuff in them that has to be skimmed off. Okay, let's just take a peek down here, Richard, at the soup so we can see where we are right now. And I'm going to take a little bit of this soup and we're going to put it here so we can see the difference when we're done with the soup after we puree the florets in it and add the cheese to it. Now, how's the cream coming? The cream's boiling right along. Now we have some crumbled blue cheese. See how I blew on that? And that cooled it off enough to keep it from overflowing? I went and turned it on and went, I blew on it. So remember that. That's a good trick. Okay. I'm going to adjust that flame a little bit. All right, now we're going to come back over here and we're going to put some blue cheese. That looks like a lot, but it's not that much. Matter of fact, I don't even think enough. We're going to put just a little bit more in there before we puree it. By the time you add the butter, the broccoli, the cream, and the cheese, this mix of flavor dilutes the intensity of the cheese to some extent. And remember, you need to be able to identify the taste of the cheese while you're having the soup without it tasting like blue cheese soup, of course. So we'll stop right there. Now we're going to take some florets. You want to take the soft part of the florets. Yeah, most of the stems have been cut off of these. These look pretty good. Just throw them in there. Obviously, I started out with a lot more than 1.5 pounds of broccoli. Knowing how to make the soup is a lot more important than whether or not this recipe is exactly how you should make it. God knows every time I make a soup, and I've never used a recipe for making soup for, I can't think, in at least 15, 20 years. That needs more broccoli florets. And this would probably be enough now, right here, for garnishing all the amount of soup bowls that are going to come out of here. Recipe is pretty close, but it's worth mentioning that one must make the adjustment to the finishing of the soup, which is what we're doing now. This process, this stage of making this soup, or any of the cream soups, or any soups for that matter, this stage of finishing is where 50% of the eating experience is going to take place. You can make the perfect soup, but you don't have the right finishing amount of salt, cream, butter, whatever it happens to be, garnishes, and flavor additives, if you will, which is sometimes part of this process. If you don't concentrate on the finishing part, you're just not going to have a good soup. It's as simple as that. This is a very underemphasized stage in cooking, both anywhere you see on TV or in cookbooks and so on and so forth. And I'm here to tell you that it represents the largest part of the eating process, okay? So there we got the broccoli stems in there. Now let's give this some zapping in here. And I think we're going to have to put this back in here for the right effect here in terms of the pureeing. Gonna get it all in there? Almost. Close enough.